welcome to Gaming the System. We're doing a bonus round, and this bonus round we are doing our top 8 pillars of the patriarchy as gaming bosses, which may sound like a complex, abstract, difficult concept, but it's not really. It's quite straightforward. And just to show you that, first off, I'm going to go to you, Matt. What were you going to go for number 1?
Fantastic layup for me. Okay, so my number 1 is fragile masculinity plus male privilege. Because the fragile masculinity is what tells you you're the best. You are awesome. You are superior to everyone else in the totem pole just because you're a cisgender straight white man. Okay, but then because that is impossible and untrue, because you compare it to everyone else, you might go, oh, actually I'm normal, I'm not special, but then because of your privilege you have the option to go, no, I am perfect, everyone else is wrong, and then your privilege protects you from actually being in the place that you should be. So incredibly mediocre men get carried right to the top because all they have to do is go, no, I'm the best, and then their privilege just carries them upwards. And then that means that the people at the top tend to be very mediocre, very narcissistic, very ego-driven, which means that they will not listen to reason because they didn't come up with it, because they don't understand it. And they have nothing to lose by staying the way they are, because Boris Johnson and everyone else in his cabinet has risen up to that position without having to be accountable to anything. And that is fucking dangerous.
Okay. And I was just thinking, like, you know, it might be easier, like, exploring these pillars of the patriarchy less as a top 8 and more as a sort of general thought on them, and the things that spring to mind, because I feel like it's really quite patriarchal to rank the pillars of the patriarchy in a top 8. So therefore, like, we don't want to do that. We want to break the mold. So anyone, Alex or Jem, want to jump in? Alex, looks like you've got an idea there.
I didn't really know what to put. So I put down a couple of things, and one of them was period tax, which I think is just, you know, not on in this day and age, or any day and age, in fact, really. But yeah, I mean, I can't elaborate in a particularly eloquent way on it, but if anyone wants to do that, then they can. But basically it's just not on, really, and I don't think it should be a thing, because we can't have what our bodies do, and why should we be punished for that?
Well, I'd go to the pink tax. The pink tax,
I think what I meant, really, but yeah.
That's right. But yeah, where things like razors, yes. The Bic razor that's pink is going to cost more than the Bic razor that's blue, because
yes.
It's a special change. But this does exist in gaming as well, apparently. Yes. I've been reading about this, that sort of some of the skins and stuff in particularly things like Animal Crossing and stuff, like they know that they're going to be able to charge more for something that's pink. So the pink tax exists in gaming as well. Jem, what are your thoughts?
Pillars of the patriarchy. So we're looking for things that are like holding the patriarchy in place. Is that specifically what we're looking at?
Well, it is a tough one.
Yeah, it is a tough one. But one of my favourite topics at the moment is that over the last few years, probably since the Brexit vote, sorry, I said it, that has come to my mind is how obsessed with gentrification the British public are, how we might as well still be living in a feudal society as far as so many people are concerned, that we believe that people are born to have a right to control and to power and to privilege, and that we as a society, and I don't mean individuals, I know there's plenty of people that don't agree with this, but as a society and as a culture, we feel that kind of privilege is acceptable and also something that we should be protecting. Now, I think that this is causing real problems now, and it's one of the things that's stopping us from holding the current government to account, because all of those people are clearly perfectly designed to hold those positions because they come from these privileged backgrounds. They are the sorts of people that should be our lords and masters. And I think there is this deep-rooted thing going on there. And I hadn't realised how inground it was until I was having conversations with my non-British husband, and he was very confused about why we were putting up with a lot of things and why we do the things that we do. And I think probably many people in Europe are, is they don't have this attitude, this sort of kowtowing attitude. And I think that that system is inextricably and intrinsically tied to the patriarchy and to that hierarchy. And so I would say that one of the major pillars, possibly the central pillar, the foundations of the patriarchy is our obsession with, what is it, the
hierarchy.
Yeah, the hierarchy of the social hierarchy, but it's more than that. It's more than that. It's like the bloodlines, isn't it? It's all about,
it's like the feudal elite system.
People are born into it. People are born to power. They have a right to it, and we should support them and protect that right.
The divine right. Well, I thought of my pillar of the patriarchy while you were speaking there, is because and it's similar, but it's that ingrained view. And it's ingrained in video game culture as well. But so my biggest bugbear with feminism or whatever is the fact that people, so capitalism, right? You say, oh, capitalism is bad. And actually 80% of people will disagree with you and say, no, it's good. And so you have to go back to one of the fundamental problems with capitalism. And there's a lot of them, like Matt, I've talked a lot about how, like, you're forcing people to work 40-hour weeks and saying this is how life should be. But my big thing with capitalism is the fact that it doesn't take into account who is going to do care, who is going to feed people, who is going to look after the sick, who is going to look after the children. It is based entirely, all the works of Adam Smith and John Locke and all the rest of them, as however well-intentioned they are, all those great men of the 18th century and 19th century who set down their books and their ideas of how society should run, all based it on the premise that women would stay at home and do things for free. That was the fundamental idea that underpins how capitalism works, and it only functions if women stay at home and do childcare and healthcare and elderly care and cleaning the house and cooking and just keeping life going. Those social things of life going is all based on that premise. And so that's why modern capitalism doesn't work. It's because women don't want to stay home. Very realistically, women don't want to stay home and do that for free for their whole lives. And then you look at all these like, well, in theory, people throw Adam Smith in your face. And it's like, no. And I always go on about Kate Marcel's book, Who Cooked Adam Smith's Dinner? All there in the title. Adam Smith was sitting there writing all these economic theories. Who was actually cooking his dinner? And the best thing about the answer to it is it was his mum. Didn't even have a wife to do it. Just got his mum to cook his dinner. But yeah, so that would be my pillar of the patriarchy, is that we are still trying to run a system that is based on the idea that women stay at home.
God, it just makes you want to fucking smash your head into the nearest hard object. I want to share the pillar that Jem come up with, because I've been thinking about this a lot recently, because I've been thinking about the frustration with, they're called gender critical feminists now, and all they do is attack downwards at trans women in particular, and trans women have infinitely less power than them, but they are treated by gender critical feminists as the central focus of their so-called feminism. But it's what you were saying about it's the totem pole of the hierarchy, that you get born into your place in the hierarchy. And that's just the way things are. It's like a caste system, and it's easy with you saying about gentrifying. If you're higher up on it, you can go, oh, I want more equality, but I still want my privilege above everyone else. So I want equality for me, but not equality for others. Because the fact that this system exists, if you accept it, then it means you are just perpetuating the status quo, because the people at the very top making all of the decisions are the ones responsible for everything that happens to the people further down. They win they win everything, and you get little scraps the further you go down. And so if you are on the totem pole fighting downwards, then it means you are only having an adverse effect, because the people lower down than you do not have any power to make a change more than you have. You're doing the patriarchy's work by oppressing people beneath you. Whereas instead you should go, I'm wasting my time by attacking downwards. The biggest threat to me is not the people beneath me, because they don't have as much power as me. No like employee, no one anywhere, sexual harasses someone with more power than them. You're not going to get a sub manager grabbing the arse of the CEO, because the CEO would destroy them because they've got more power. So if you're going downwards, it means that you're wasting your time, because you need to fight upwards. But it's hard fighting upwards. It's thankless fighting upwards. When you're a gender critical feminist and you fight down, you've got the entire traditional media backing you up, writing hundreds and hundreds of articles on your opinion, going, we are being silenced. The internet is a scary place for gender critical feminists. We've only got the entirety of the traditional media. That's fulfilling. You go, I'm being supported. I am fighting the good fight. I am fighting downwards at the true threat, and I'm the victim. But when you go, I'm going to fight upwards at the powerful white men, look at all the criticism we throw at the government. They haven't had to change anything. There's been no accountability, because they've got the media on their side as well. So,
do you want to link any of it to gaming there at all?
I can.
Can we link it to gaming?
So, I mean, I think that one of the fundamental things that makes all of these points doubly worse is that we are told by the media and the system that none of this is the case, that you are free to move around from whatever position in society you are, if only you work hard enough, if only you do enough. And to me, to link it to the gaming world, that is what the vast majority of computer games are about. They're usually about some little no one working their way up and becoming the hero of the story. And that's what we want. When we game, we want to be the hero in our story. And it's usually about somebody battling against all the odds and coming out on top and beating the big bad and all of that, and which is great. I mean, fantasy is often sort of predicated on that basis, but it's part of the lie that's being used in society to keep us all in our spaces. I mean, technically and factually, the chance of most people moving out of their social strata in our society is extremely small. And in fact, I heard of a study that had been done on London, sort of post-industrial revolution, and they were looking at the families, and they found that a lot of the families that had lived there then, in whatever strata of jobs they were doing then, are still there now in the same strata. So it's utter rubbish. Yes, there are a few people who get lucky, but that is it is luck, and they get to move around up and down through the strata, but the vast majority of people are stuck where they are born into. So to in any way imply that somebody like Boris Johnson, who has been born into his position and was always being pushed to being a prime minister, got there just because he happens to be the best person for the job is utter rubbish. And yet we're told this in society. And I think that many of the computer games out there that we're playing are reinforcing this myth that we can work our way out of it, because that's the opiate of the masses, really.
Yeah.
Ooh, got a bit ranty there, sorry.
No, and I think that was I was going to come back to sum it up, was to say, like, I think these pillars of the patriarchy that we're identifying, we need to make sure they're not being reinforced in gaming, and we need to support games and developers who are pushing new ideas, who are like, all media can be used to change the way we see the world. And I think we need to be supporting anyone who's going in that direction to smash those pillars of the patriarchy with a big old axe or warhammer or something of that sort, in a very God of War style is what I'm picturing, smashing those pillars of the patriarchy down. Yeah, cool, thanks. Well, we've been Gaming the System. Please like, share and subscribe. Please comment and do interactive things that make algorithms happy. And you can watch us every Thursday at 7 p.m. and we'll see you soon. Bye.